Okay, what is up, guys? Ashley Oasis here, and today we are going to be talking about the topics of civilizations, how they are built, how are they made, how are they managed, and how they managed to get to the places they are today. So let's dwell on. So, civilization. When building civilization, it first requires labour and simple stability at first. Civilizations at first will need plumbers, bricklayers, joiners, and electricians. First, of course, all the primary sectors are fulfilled. Once all the primary sectors are fulfilled first, like farming and food supply, then once all the roads, bridges and buildings are built and the population starts to grow, you then need governments, soldiers and legislators to protect and govern that built up society. However, there has to be a demand in why people have built there anyways, like a river to a port or a hill for defence, or in this case in the picture Egypt, the River Nile. But this is a stage of order and system laws, and but is in this system that the order of law, calendars, and many things are able to be produced, and the further construction of that civilization. And once everything is built up and people have more time, more money, and more resources, that's when your civilization develops counterculture or cultural enrichment. At this time, people have more leisure that the arts, poetry, sports, and theatre is able to thrive, because at this point, no one is no longer thinking about hunting for food and water, or working to make ends meet, or fighting. However, art in itself may be a bit discriminatory, that civilizations privileged enough or lucky enough to pass this stage enjoy the benefits of a new sector of the economy which has opened up, or this new instinct be involved in which animals yet do not have, for example in ancient Egypt only. Now, in ancient Egypt only, the pharaohs enjoyed the luxuries of Egyptian culture, while the slaves and labourers were too busy working maintaining it. Which sparks debate that art is for the lazy or the highly evolved. It's also a reason why the United States produces most of the world's leisures, like Hollywood, Silicon Valley, to always winning the Olympics simply because it's richer. Civilizations are at different stages of development. For example, Ethiopia is at the primary stage that I just talked about earlier, with agriculture being its single economic driver. Norway is at the stability or the industrialized stage of building to maintain, while the United States is at full-on cultural enrichment stage, its golden age, that has enough stability to move forward. Greece enjoys its cultural enrichment of the past while struggling with modern day stability, so it can work in reverse or in back in a way, if you want to call it that. Once culture occurs, nationalism goes along with it. When people feel proud of results, they feel fulfilled. Now, if a civilization produces enough wealth to be able to share it out, the civilization, instead of the individuals who make it, then that moves fast enough to a more equal society. However, continue the trend, however, if the trends continue, the goods will run out. This is the socialism stage, where the civilization becomes so rich that they are able to share out the goods and cause more wealth distribution and cause more equality. However, in a more extreme manner, if it goes into a full-blown Soviet scale, it will actually destroy that civilization, but that's for another video. So basically, to capitalise on that, if a civilization becomes rich enough, it's able to conquer other civilizations, then we get imperialism. If a civilization manages to outproduce every other civilization, then you get a golden age or a superpower. Let me change the visual here. Now, civilization can become so great that eventually they fall. This can happen by being overtaken by another tribe who are more advanced, like how the Spanish managed to conquer the Aztecs, or it has become so rich that it attracts the invasion of less advanced tribes who have something to gain while the enriched society have a lot to lose, like how the Huns defeated the Romans, because after a resonance culture usually leads to a conquest culture. Once there is something to gain, piracy then usually happens. However, if a civilization becomes so great, then the fall happens from inside, as the elites then fight themselves for power, because they have finished fighting everyone else. This is why a lot of military coups happen, as troops then become dehumanized to fight and built up. They basically built up an experience of adventure that once everyone is defeated, that addiction of violence never wears off, and they want the violence to continue even if it means fighting their own tribe. Just like how the Mongol Empire fell, and this can lead to civil unrest, which can be the end of that empire. However, banking, politics and technology also play a role. If a civilization refuses to innovate, such as Middle Eastern countries banning things for being un-Islamic, expect that society to go down due to its own backwardness. But either way, all civilizations have an expiration date. In fact, most of the civilizations was built up during that date that led to it being stuck in the time zone of when it was a golden age, architecturally speaking, in this, that it's in a way stuck in a time warp. For example, most of Britain was built up during the 17th century, so the sort of mix of steel cars going around and old brick cities look really weird. Also, if a country is all built up during the same time, it leads to everywhere looking the same and not being diverse at all. Every country should be big enough to experience different time zones in history and weather in it, with different economies everywhere and countercultures everywhere. This collectivism leads to less boredom and more nationalism to defend the civilization. However, everywhere has its day, and the sun rises and falls everywhere and leaves its mark on the world. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that little introduction to Civilization. So I guess I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.